Okay, so good morning all. As you can see on your computer screen, we were at this topic that is parallel projection, and then that we have two types to study. And one type is orthographic parallel projection. So that is the thing that we already studied in the last lecture that was on Thursday. So now we will move forward towards our second topic, that is oblique parallel projection. See, you need to understand this thing. You need to like imagine this thing, that how it will be useful, the softwares that people are using, that designers are using, because at the end shapes are the ultimate thing that it that the people are going to use, or the people are going to display. So to do so and to get such kind of like accurate things that they have that in their mind, instead of not so accurate things or distorted things, we need something to be very precise and all. So for that purpose they are coming up with like multiple algorithms. Many authors have proposed so many things which would further improve the things that are going to be displayed on the by the like automobile industries or some building making companies. So basic thing is that. And we are going into this topic, as well as what we are doing is we are also making one matrix we can directly take. And for matrix we need some mathematical background by which we can simply take some fundamentals and then we can go ahead with it. So so you need to know the basic things before we can go ahead to today's lecture. So as you can see on your computer screen, we have already completed the first thing, that is orthographic projection. So whatever things that you want to project, you'd be getting this like perpendicular things at 90-degree angles. But what if we don't want to be that much exact, with that much precise, and we want something some shape that is in if we want some shape or something to be projected and that is in like circular motion, or we want some curve section or something, then at such point we don't want it to be like perpendicular at 90 degree. We want something to be at our defined angle, or defined by the algorithm's angle. So for that thing we have this concept that is written over here, as you can see, oblique parallel projection. So many of you have already heard this thing, because this is nothing but a mathematical based thing. So I don't know. So that is the oblique parallel projection. So as you can see, what does the first line say? It is like it's obtained by projecting points. Projecting points. So the very simple thing that you have to keep in mind, whatever things we have and whatever the things that we want to project, so that it will be the like visible to the user, or it will be visible to like a certain person or something that they want to do with it. So by projecting points along the parallel lines that are not perpendicular to the projection plane. Okay, so now we don't want to be perpendicular, and we want it to be parallel. Okay, so how it would look? So as you can see on your computer screen, we have one figure as well as we have one point. So you can read it. XYZ is a point of which we are taking oblique projection. So as you can see, this is the point, okay, which we want this thing, of which we are taking oblique projection xp and yp. Okay, it would be at any angle. Like we have two such types that comes out of this oblique parallel projection. In that they say is that one is at angle 45, and another is at angle 63.4 or something. So once we understand this basic thing, then we'll go with that thing also. So now, yeah. So now taking oblique projection xp and yp on the view plane. Okay, this is our view plane, as you can see, and point xy on view plane is orthographic projection of x, y, z. Okay, so we have two things. First is oblique projection, another thing is orthographic projection. Okay, as we already know that we are like removing this information, that is that depth information. We are not removing, we are storing it at some position. We are just taking two things into the consideration, as we have seen uh, in the last lecture. Because like in the end, what we want is we want some view out of your given thing, so you'd be able to see only 2D things out of that. So complete depth information you won't be able to see, or you won't be able to make something out of it. So that's why we're not considering that in this case. Okay, and now from the figure, so this is a basic scenario that is over here, as you can see on your computer screen. Okay, xp, yp, xy, xy, z. This is the point that is to be projected. This is the view plane, and these are nothing but our coordinates. Okay, xv, yv, zv. Now what it says is, now from the figure, using trigonometric rule, we can write this formula, okay, these equations that we have. So for xp, we have x plus l cos phi, and for yp, we have y plus l sine phi. Now what is this l? So it is over here. So now length L depends on the angle alpha and the z coordinate of the point to be projected. Okay, this is nothing but the length between like our oblique projection and the z coordinate of the point to be projected. So depends on the angle and z coordinate of the point to be projected. So that gives us this thing, that is tan alpha equal to, that is this thing, as you can see, tan alpha equal to z upon L. Okay, so now we will do something with it so that we get our required things. See, our goal is to get the transformation matrix, which can be used directly for our own purpose. If you want to use this concept, then we need some sort of transformation matrix. So we are going into a bit mathematical, or like into some depth of it. Okay, so we will see this thing, and then we'll see the transformation matrix that we got out of it. So now we will take L as a subject, and if we take this, if we do this thing, then we'll be getting L equal to Z upon tan alpha. Okay, now what is written over here? That is L equal to Z L1. Okay, Z L1. Now we have like substituted this thing L1 with 1 upon tan alpha. So if we do so, we'll be getting the simple thing that is written over here. There's nothing but L equal to ZL1. Okay, as you can see. Now put the value of L in the projection equation. So earlier we did is like xp equal to x plus L cos phi, and similarly yp equal to y plus L cos sine phi. So same thing is to be written over here. Now put the value of L. So now we have value of L equal to ZL1. Okay, the same thing is needed to be substituted in this earlier equation, and then we'll be getting this thing, that is xz plus x plus ZL1 cos phi. Okay, and this could be anything like this alpha value could be 0, 1. It depends on the scenario, or it depends on the concept that you are learning. And yp is equal to y plus z L1 sine phi. So now we have two such thing in our hand. So based on that, what it says is the transformation matrix for this equation can be written in the same form. Okay, so now for the parallel projection, okay, oblique parallel projection, we have this particular thing, that is L1 cos phi, L1 sine phi, and the remaining thing is our homogeneous coordinate, and the remaining things that comes out of that equation, that is over here. Okay, so this is the thing we can use. This equation can be used for any parallel projection. Okay, and then for orthographic projection, but obviously L1 is equal to 0, so the whole term which is multiplied with 0 component becomes 0, because at the end we don't have that form of angle or something in orthographic projection. Whatever thing that we have is perpendicular, it comes straight away from that point or something. So similar thing is given over here. So when the value of tan alpha equal to 1, projection is known as Cavalier projection, and similarly when this value of tan alpha gets equal to 2, projection is known as cabinet projection. Okay, so now two simple things that comes out of this concept, that is oblique parallel projection. First thing is known as Cavalier, then cabinet projection. Okay, so everything is dependent on the values that you get, and yeah, we have this thing, that is direction of projection makes an angle of 45 degree in Cavalier projection, and similarly it makes an angle of 63.3 or 4 something is there for the cabinet projection. So as you can imagine this thing in your mind, if you have different angles, then the view that you'd be getting would be totally different if you just can simply consider a cube or something. So that is the basic concept of oblique parallel projection. If you don't want to get into this depth or something, you just keep this equation into your mind. And one more thing, why we are using this oblique parallel projection, because we want something to be displayed in the circular motion or circular form, and that is how you'd be displaying this thing, instead of just taking the simple views as we did in the orthographic projection examples. Okay, so in that we were like looking at the things from that particular region or something, but now over here scenario is a bit different. So that is this. Another thing is perspective projection. So now you know the base of this thing. Okay, what you want is completely given over here. We have P1, P2 to be projected onto the view plane, and you have to do it in such a way that wherever this thing meets, like you generally see this thing like one railway track is there, and you just keep on looking at it, and at one point it will meet or something. It looks like that. So the same concept is over here. The same thing that camera uses. Okay, and the same thing is over here. So what it says is in the perspective projection, object positions are transformed to the view plane along the lines that converge to a point. Okay, so object position are transformed to a view plane along the line. So you have to follow this line that converges to a point, and that point is nothing but the vanishing point. Okay, or you can say project reference point. Okay, so this is the whole scenario of perspective projection. Okay, and based on the simple concept you already know, you can like move your view plane, like how like in like how you want to display the given thing, given object or given scenario. So if you want it bigger, then you can move it away, and if you want it smaller, then also you can move it accordingly. So the basic fundamental is that you can just change this particular thing that is over here. Okay, and based on that, we have one few more things coming out of it. Suppose we set the projection reference point at position Z P R P. So now when it's pointed at this particular position, and it is known as Z P R P along the ZV axis. Okay, along the ZV axis. So yeah, we have this typical scenario that is given to us, and we will go ahead with this thing in mind. Okay, so now based on the given thing, what it says, we place the view plane at ZVP as shown in figure. Okay, so view plane is at this particular point, that can be denoted with ZVP. Okay, view plane, and our perspective position is ZPRP. Okay. So now based on the given thing, what it says is like we can write the whole equation describing the coordinate position along this perspective projection line in parametric form as given over here. So now we'd be getting two things, but obviously what we want is describing the coordinate position along this perspective projection line in parametric form. Okay, so now first thing you'd be getting is x dash, and another thing you'd be getting is y dash. Okay, x dash will be equal to x minus xu, and y dash will be equal to y minus yu. Now what is this u? So, and similarly z dash. So z dash is equal to, because we have this many things on this particular axis, so we'll be getting z minus zprp into u. So now what is this u? Here parameter u takes the value from 0 to 1. Okay, how you will be able to know that, okay, what we have to take with this u? So it is totally dependent on the position of object, view plane, and projection reference point. As I said, whenever we did this practical based on some simple concept using Bar 3D, and at that time I said this thing that, okay, we don't have this many informations with us, or we are not able to do this thing in graphic.h function. That's why we are just trying to create some simple illusion instead of doing this thing totally according to the concept. So we don't have this many things in graphics library, so that's why we are not able to illuminate it. But now if we are taking this thing into the consideration, then we need this many information: position of the object, view plane, and projection reference point. Okay, and for obtaining value of v, we will put z dash equal to zvp. Zvp is z view plane, and solve the equation of z dash. So now we want some value of u to be substituted in this equation, that is x dash, y z, and z dash. Okay, so for that we are doing this particular thing. So now we have one thing already with us, that is z dash equal to z minus zprp whole into u. Okay, and then what it says is we have to substitute z dash equal to z vp. So same thing is done over here in the step 2. Okay, and like keeping this thing as a subject, what we are getting is u equal to zvp minus z upon zprp minus z. So now we have one thing that can be replaced with u, because as of now we don't know what is u and all. Okay, so now, as I said, similar thing, once we get the value, once we have something that can be substituted with the value of u, you have to put it similarly in the earlier equation that we have, and we have the equation of x dash y z y dash. So we will put the same thing in that equation, and what we can do is, likewise, we have this thing that is x is equal to x minus x u. So we can take one thing as a common term, that is x, and once we take x as a common, we'll be getting x into 1 minus u, and whatever value we have in u, you have to substitute it as it is. Okay, so once you do this same thing, you'd be getting the uh, particular thing in this form as it is written in this particular slide. Okay, you can solve it also, you'd be getting the same thing, and then don't consider this thing as of now, and then doing the same thing for yp. Okay, then you'd be getting the same thing that is written on in this slide. Okay, so there is nothing but x into like whole zprp minus zvp upon zprp minus z. Okay, and now what it says is, further what you can do is you can simplify it further by putting one thing that is Vp, and that will be equal to ZPRP minus ZVP. So now all of this thing will be substituted, that is ZPRP minus ZVP. We can substitute the same thing with Vp, and the final thing that you'll be getting is this term. Okay, so as we did earlier, you can use the same information and you can put the same thing in the matrix form, and you can go ahead with your concept. Okay, so that is nothing but perspective projection. Okay, so few things you have to keep in mind. Now there are a number of special cases for the perspective transformation equations. Okay, if the view plane is taken to be uv plane, it's not like that you'd be having the same scenario always. It all depends on the like view plane, whatever you are considering, and from where you want to take this perspective, or where you want to like display these things. So then zvp value will be but obviously 0, and the projection coordinates that we'll be getting is this. So we just have to put 0 instead of zvp. So then we'll be getting the same value, it is zprp upon zprp minus z, as you can see in the slide. Similar thing is to be done for yp. Okay, so if this is the case for UV plane, then you have to do this thing. And if we take projection reference point and origin, then ZPRP will be equal to 0. And the projection coordinates will be given as over here. So if we give ZPRP 0 value, then you'd be getting the value that is given over here. It is XP equal to X into ZVP upon Z. Similar thing is to be done for YP. So YP equal to Y into ZVP upon Z. Okay, if we substitute this value, or if we give 0 value to set PRP. Similar concept is to be followed, and yeah, if it is at origin. So now the vanishing point for any set of lines that are parallel to one of the principal axis of an object is referred to as principal vanishing point. Okay, what does it say is, like, for any set of lines that are parallel to one of the principal axis of an object. Okay, principal axis, if I say, then we have this x, v, whatever you consider x, y, z is our principal axis. So based on that, if it is getting parallel to any of this axis of an object, then it's referred to as first this principal vanishing points. Okay, and then with the orientation of the projection plane, perspective projection are accordingly classified as 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point projection. So that is to be considered. So based on the orientation of the projection plane, perspective projection can be classified further. So we have 1 point, 2 point, 3 point projections. Okay. Number of principal vanishing point in a projection is determined by the number of principal axes intersecting the view plane. Okay. So how you can get this thing? How you can get the number of principal vanishing point? So it can be determined by the number of principal axes it is passing from, intersecting the view view plane. Okay, so this is the like whole thing we have whenever we talk about this perspective projection and all. See, and yeah. So once we finish this unit, what I've planned for this week and then the next for the next week is we'll spare one lecture that is totally based on this 3D concept and 3D viewing and all, and I will give you some questions that you'll be solving um, in this lecture only. I think maybe tomorrow's lecture or like day after tomorrow lecture will spare for it, and we will do the similar kind of activity in that lecture, so that the things that we have covered, you could get the similar things that what you can expect in the examination and what kind of numericals could be there. So now uh, that is a planned thing for this week, and similarly I will spare some time for tutorial also, and I'll put it once we finish this thing, I'll put it everything on the Moodle. And for the next week, if once we see few numericals and we calculate few things in the lecture and we are spared, I've planned one quiz in the next week. Okay, likely I have to form some question also because I'm not getting enough time to do this thing. We'll try to do this thing and we'll put it on your Moodle. We'll take one quiz, that is quiz 2. And if possible, I will take quiz 3 based on the third topic that we have, that is the advanced topic. So based on the 3 lectures that we have, I'm planning all of these activities, but I'm also not getting this time, but we'll try to finish it. And if we are not getting enough time to take quiz 3, then we will just put average of quiz 1 and quiz 2, and that will be fine. And okay, so that is the basic thing I wanted to do in CG, and we have already planned the things for lab, so we don't have any such problem in the lab session. Okay, so in this week we will get 2 lectures. So tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we'll try to keep that lecture for problem solving only. Okay, and similarly, I will share the material on your Moodle. Okay, so now. 2 important things are given over here in the figure form, and view volume and general projection transformation. So you have 2 things over here. First thing goes with this parallel projection, another thing goes with the perspective projection. Okay, so now based on that, as you can see, a few terms are written over here. It is parallel piped view volume and custom view volume. So as you have this thing with your cam also, your camera is placed at this position, and then you are taking some pictures or something out of the real world, and so it is nothing but you are defining your window, or you are defining something where you want to display your particular scene or something that is over there in the real world. So same thing goes over here. Your camera is at this particular position, and you are trying to create this kind of view volume, and whatever thing is that remaining thing would be clipped, and only the important part that you want to display or that you want to capture will be with you. Okay, so similar concept is given over here. Another thing is parallel piped view volume. So what is this thing? So what it says is, like, we have one particular shape over here with us, and every side of that particular object or cube, whatever you're considering, will be parallel. Okay, and based on that, we have this particular concept. So we'll try to understand this thing. We have few things based on the given scenario, and see how it can be there: view volume and general projection transformation. So instead of like getting into a particular scenario, what is the general thing that we can understand out of it? Okay, so that we will see. Based on the view window, we can generate different image of the same scene. Okay, so based on the view window, based on the viewer's perspective, what you want to view, it can be displayed accordingly, and we can generate different image of the same scene. So volume which appears on the display is known as view volume. That can be defined by the user, or that can be defined by the thing that you are using. If you want to display it on on your monitor or in your output device, then it can be different thing. So given the specification of the view window, we can set up a view volume using the window boundaries. Okay, this is nothing but like you are taking something that is at some certain position. Even if you are considering parallel projection or perspective projection, you are not like getting something, but it is placed at some particular position, and what you are trying to do is you are getting some view out of it. Okay, if you are at a particular position, so to do so we need to give some specifications so that things that we get can go up with the boundaries that you are limiting with. So that is the same thing written over here. So now only those objects within the view volume will appear in the generated display on an output, because all the results are clipped from the display. A very simple thing that is written over here. But obviously, the place the limited boundary that you want your object or on the plane that you want to display, only this thing would contain your information. Other thing would be scrapped out. So the key part would be that particular portion. Okay. Size of the view volume depends on the size of window. Okay. Shape of the view volume depends on the type of projection to be used to generate the display. Okay. So now a finite view volume is obtained by limiting the extent of the volume in the ZV direction. Okay. So now we have one thing that is a finite view volume. We are considering one like general case, and we'll try to understand it. So it is obtained by limiting the extent of volume in ZV direction. So now we will not keep it open in general, but instead of that, we'll try to limit it in the volume in ZV direction. So this is done by specifying position for one or two additional boundary planes. How? That we will see. So this ZV boundary planes are referred to as front plane, back plane, or far plane of the viewing volume. So based on the perspective, based on the limit you are giving or putting into it, so you can get this thing out of it. So these are referred to as this boundary planes that you are giving: front plane, back plane, or the near plane. The same thing that was given in this particular form. The same thing that was given in this particular form. Okay, you know here. And the orthographic parallel projection are not affected by view plane position. Okay, why it is not like affected? Because we have defined this thing already, that we whatever we are taking out of the given object that are perpendicular, and it will be taken and illuminated, or you can say displayed on the view plane. So you are not taking any kind of orientation or something, but whatever thing is like there, you are just straight away taking perpendicularly from that particular position. So again, this thing will not be affected because the projection planes are perpendicular to the view plane regardless of its location, as I said. So that is why we are not considering orthographic projection in this case. So even if you take this thing in the matrix form, then whatever things you would be getting for the orthographic projection, you can just keep it 0, so that other things won't be affected. Now, general parallel projection transformation. Okay, so now over here, oblique projection may be affected by view plane positioning. Okay, so now if I say oblique projection is there, then first thing that should come in your mind is the parallel lines that are coming out of that particular point or some object that you are referring to, depending on how the projection direction is to be specified. Okay, so it may be affected by the view plane position depending on how the projection direction is to be specified. So now obtain the transformation for parallel projection which is applicable to both orthographic as well as oblique projection. So our goal over here is to get some metrics for such kind of projection that can be applied to both of the orthographic as well as oblique projection. So that we don't get anything that is distorted or something that is different from the real thing that we want to display. So now to do so, we have parallel projection. Parallel projection is specified with the projection vector, okay, from the projection reference point to the view window. Okay, specified with the projection vector from the projection reference point to the view window. So now this is the view window where we want to get something, and this is a view volume. Okay, and what we want is we want to get this reference point, okay, on the view window, so that we get the things that is there, or that whatever things we are having with us, we can get or we can display it in the same form. Okay, so now for this, now we will apply the Sear transformation. Okay, so now to do so, if I talk about Sear, then you one matrix that is already there, and it should come in your mind. So we will apply the same thing. View volume is will convert into regular parallel piped, and projection vector will become parallel to the normal vector. So this is the case that will be generated once we do the required thing. It will be converted into regular parallel pipe, and projection vector will become parallel to the normal vector. Okay. Normal vector, if I say, then also this will be very clear to you what is this normal vector. So now let's consider this parallel projection, projection vector Vp. It would be equal to Px, Py, Pz. Okay. We need to determine the elements of a shear matrix. So if I talk about shear matrix, then that will align the projection vector with the view plane normal vector n, and similarly you just need to multiply the given vectors that are px, py, pz with the shearing factor that you are applying. So m parallel into vp. So now what is this m parallel? So that is over here, and this is v. Okay, because now we are considering pz as given in the scenario. So that is what it says. We will give 0, 0 value to xy, and when m parallel is equivalent to the parallel projection matrix and represent the z-axis shear of the form. Okay, and this is the case that we will consider for shearing. So m parallel will be equal to this particular thing. So we are putting a and b value. So whatever value you would be giving to a and b, you will be getting same sort of shape. Okay, and now from the above equation we can write this particular form. Okay, so now this is the case that we have generated, and we have put the same thing into the matrix form, as you can see. Okay, and then from the matrix we can write it in this particular form. So from the matrix we can write this thing, that is 0 equal to similarly px plus a pz, and similarly 0 equal to py plus b pz, and the whole thing can be made subjective with respect to A and B. So these are the two things that we got out of it, that is minus px upon pz be equal to minus py upon pz. Okay, and then we have general parallel projection matrix in the terms of the elements of the projection vector as this. At the end, as I said, we are going into something that gives us the transformation matrix. At the end, we want this matrix, and we have general parallel projection matrix in the terms of the element of the projection vectors. Okay, so based on the scenario, whatever scenario is it, based on the what it says in terms of element of projection vector. So projection vectors case, whatever thing you are getting, you can put it in this particular form, and then you can get this thing. Okay, so now over here we have this thing. As I said, in the orthographic projection we have particular things that will not going to affect anything, or we cannot consider this case. So for this orthographic parallel projection, we will put x value py and px value as 0, and is the identity matrix. So that is the thing that we'll be getting in the orthogonal parallel projection. But in the case where we are considering this oblique parallel projection, then we need something to be eliminated if we are getting some curve or something. At that particular point, we want the same thing, or we want the same. You might have seen some like architect building their pipelines or something where they are considering this thing, like they are creating pipes that have multiple curves, T joints, and also do so they need this kind of transformations instead of getting a simple thing or simple like curve or something. Okay, so for that purpose they generally use this thing. Okay, so these are the things that we have in this 3D concept. See, abhi dekho, main thing is that this can lead you to like confusion stage or something, because this like things are needed to be imagined and put into the like put into your mind, and then you have to create some cases for this thing. Now if I take some real values and if I do the same thing and say, yeah, this is the like very easy concept, now we are getting this value, these were the given things, and this is the value that you are getting after applying the series of transformations that are given in the question or something. So basic thing is that, and why you are like feeling, or why you think this thing would be be creating a problem or it will become difficult is because we are not directly viewing at the transformation metric. I could be giving you the transformation metrics that you have, and then you can consider the same thing for your examples or for your calculations, but we are not doing it. We are going from the basic concept that leads to you this transformation matrix, because we have these terms over here is px, pz, and earlier we had that L1 and all. And if we don't look at that complete scenario where we are forming that angle, where we are getting alpha, where we are getting phi and all, you won't be able to understand the complete thing that you got in the transformation matrix. Okay, and the same thing is given into the CG book also, so you can refer that thing too. And based on this projects and conceptual things that we have seen, you won't be getting any numericals for this particular concept, but you will be getting numericals from the 3D transformations. The basic transformations were like rotation, translation, and scaling, and then shearing was there, reflection was there. So based on that, you'd be getting some numericals or something, but these are the conceptual things that you have to keep in mind, and also you have to read it. Okay, and yeah, so these are the things that was planned for today's lecture, and tomorrow we'll try to, because we have completed 2 units, we will try to put some problem solving things based on the concept that we have seen. We'll see how things can go ahead, or how we have seen this thing and how you're putting it into your examples and all. Okay, so that no loopholes will be there. Okay, so these are the concepts. And yeah, so I will share all of this thing that we have seen in this class, and tomorrow we will continue the same thing. Okay, okay. And if you have anything to say, you can write it in the comment box, and we can share the same thing. Yes. जिनेंद्र कहाँ गया, दिख नहीं रहे हो जिनेंद्र?
Yes sir.
हाँ, what you are doing? Concepts clear हो रहे हैं कि फिर अभी examples करेंगे तो पता चलेगा?
सर एक्चुअली ना लास्ट वीक में मेरा मंडे टू वेडनेसडे बंक, मैंने मतलब क्लास नहीं की थी, मेरी एग्जाम चल रही थी बैकलॉग की.
अच्छा.
सो आई एम नॉट गेटिंग एवरी कंसेप्ट, सो आई हैव टू मतलब पीपीटीज देख के पढ़ना पड़ेगा मुझे.
Yes, वो देखना पड़ेगा. And see, similar thing is like we have this thing very abstract in the PPT and all. So you have to actually go into this concept. Conceptually, it should be clear to you. I'm not saying that you have to like mug up all of the derivatives and the things. It is fine. You just keep one transformation matrix in mind. But now our transformation matrix itself contains so many terms that leads to you to like to the derivation part or things that were used in the concept itself. So that is why we have to go with it. And yeah, based on the numerical, you will be able to understand many of the concepts, but based on the 3D things, conceptual things, you'll be able to, once you read this thing and once you go into it, it is very simple, not a problem. Okay, and yeah, so that is the plan thing in CG. And if you have anything to say, you can say, and then we can leave in 5 minutes. Okay, and for the ESE, that is the ENSEM exam also, you have same thing, that is 90 minutes. I think you got the mail. You have 90 minutes or so such time, and in that time you have to solve the MCQs. So it will be same as we did in the midterm exam. Okay, and try to score more, because like many of like students are having less than 20 marks, and I don't want that thing in CG. I want you to score more and get good marks. In the practical itself, see, I have seen few practicals that you have uploaded. It is fine, you have done good job like in CG practicals, so that is fine. But in theory, you have to score more. Okay. Yeah. So that's it for today. If you want to say something, then you can say. Else, you can leave.